And the next part is we'd like to introduce Miss Hien, our director, will guide you through the market update. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time coming here on a Saturday morning. I think many people will have make decision to go for holiday, but it's so honored to have you here with us. So my part is the most boring part. It's about numbers, and I hope that you bear with me. A bit introduction about myself. I'm Hien. I was born and raised in Saigon, Saigonese. And lucky me, during the past 30 years, I have witnessed a lot of changes in Saigon. And I think when you're here, you also feel the same, especially in the past 5 or 10 years. So before we jump in the most boring part, so let's look back at our beloved city, Saigon now and then. So I think the first place that you ever come to Vietnam is this place, right? If you choose Ho Chi Minh, right? This is the airport long time ago, and now it's Son Nhat Airport now. I'm pretty sure that in the past 2 years, a lot of people miss this place because it's allowed you to enter Vietnam, right? Anyone remember your very first impression when you visit Vietnam? How was it when you land? And when you step out of the custom? Anyone?
Terrible.
Terrible.
I think the Saigon immigration are the worst in Vietnam.
I agree.
If that's your first experience of being in Vietnam, you're like, this country sucks.
And when you go through that, after that?
And it's a challenge to get a good car.
Very challenging, right?
Everything is much nicer.
Yeah, everything is much nicer. But I think until now, most foreigners that choose to be here, I think they appreciate Saigon a bit. There are a lot of good things or good vibe when you enter Saigon. Am I right? Agree? The energy is fantastic, even though the custom is terrible. Yeah. Next, let's look at this famous place. So I think during your busy schedule, I bet you would like to visit this place. Maybe take a photo for your friends overseas. Oh, I'm in Saigon. And it's a beautiful mix between Asian and Western culture, right? Architect, right? Before and now, you see more high rises. And this place now is the most expensive street in Vietnam. I mean, the land property, Dong Khởi Street. It's also one of the most popular places that many people, especially like rich and wealthy people, will like to hang around, Dong Khởi Street, right? And we have Bình Thạnh and Thủ Đức back then. If you look closely enough, you see some cows and a rice field. But now it's a new urban residential area in such a short time. And the city center, something that you cannot miss, especially those nightlife experience in the near Bến Thềm market. And it's changing a lot nowadays. And I think the most important elements for Saigon property increase in such short time is this one, right? Saigon wouldn't be the same if there's no Saigon River, right? And I think this is a common for most big cities around the world. We have rivers. We have a very narrow river system. And thanks to that, the property price goes up quite well. Okay, so how was Vietnam during the past 2 years? 2020 and 2021, those are unforgettable years to everyone. And for me as a Saigonese, it's also like a nightmare for us. I've been in real estate for 6 years and been selling a lot to both international and locals. And in 2020, I think it's the time that I lost the most deals because there's no solution with the pandemic, and many foreigners cannot enter, and health crisis. And many clients of mine, they choose to invest in their own country. And back then, I think everyone was just very new and have to learn how to deal with this. But Saigon property and Saigon real estate situation was also quite different from what we expect. I'm pretty sure that during those times you would expect something like really low price, right? Anyone sell very low. I want to buy at the bottom price. But unfortunately, that's not the popular case. When from 2015 and 2019, foreigners buying a lot in Vietnam, but in 2020, there was not many. But that's when the playground more open to local, especially with those that with big budget. And in 2020 and in 2021, we don't have many cases with like low price, like the market price still stable, increase slightly. And this is also the saddest time in Saigon when you see empty streets. I still remember when I was a kid, my mom took me to school. I always study very far away from home. And I always see, busy streets all my life. But when I ride in the Thủ Thiêm tunnel and I see nobody, and sometimes I heard ambulance in the street and I was like about to cry, It was very painful for us. And I'm sure for everyone around the world. But after 2 years, we have more good news. And the world adapt quite well, and so does Saigon. So, in 15th of March this year, Vietnam opened and let tourists to visit Vietnam again. That's why we have more foreigners here today. And recently, Vietnam surpassed 10 million COVID infections. So it's a good news for the whole country immune system. And we have more foreign developer, the big player that choose Vietnam to invest and acquire more land, like Capital Land or Mitsubishi or Sembcorp from Singapore. And they also like Gamudo Land from Malaysia as well. And also many local developers, they have a joint venture with foreign developers to acquire more land, especially prime location to make new projects. Either it's industrial or residential. And there's a rumor that Amazon is going to open a data center in Vietnam soon. So we hope that rumor is coming true very soon in the future. And that Legal also invests 1 billion in sustainable factory in Bình Dương as well. So I think that's the good start for 2022. And how is Vietnam now? During the past 2 years, the GDP dropped quite massively, but I think Vietnam is the only country that still hold the green arrow. When you look at the chart, other Asian country is red or even below, but Vietnam is quite okay, acceptable. And this is the FDI that's coming to Ho Chi Minh. So for this part, because I would like to present accurate numbers, so please excuse me if I have to use my iPad. So we are now seeing a strong FDI coming. And as you know that in recent year, the remittance to Vietnam in 2021, the remittance to Vietnam were estimated at $12.5 billion. And Ho Chi Minh is the biggest recipient with up to 30% share. It means that, Ho Chi Minh has a lot of money overseas. for investment, right? And the remittance to real estate was estimated to range from 20 to 22%. And this is a good capital source for the real estate market. And real estate was the third largest FDI recipient and accounted for 8% for Vietnam FDI in 2021. And you can see that among other countries, our good friend China, Vietnam now is the most attractive places for reallocation. It's the destiny for many big corporations to change in their business strategy in the upcoming years. And for apartments, in Q4 2021, it's performed quite well. The very first time in Vietnam that right after the lockdown, the market adapt very well and the sales pick up again. So you know that we had 4 months of lockdown in June, July, August, and September, right? But right after October, everything for real estate, everything kind of back to normal. And real estate market adapt very well. We're seeing a strong supply. We're seeing a strong supply across many residential projects. You know, in 2020, the supply is very, very low compared with 2019. One thing because of the pandemic, but the major issue is because of the permit issue. And there was also the change in the government leadership. And a lot of projects and a lot of developers got audited, and the licensing process was held for a very, very long time. A sad story for me, but also a good experience for you. I bought an apartment in District 2 back in 2018. And in 2019, nothing happened. It's still an empty land. In 2020, same. In 2021, same. But in 2022, they started the construction because the developer that I chose, they were struggling with a permit long time. And that was a very bad experience for many buyers back in 2018 and 2019. But the good thing is you can hold the price because they cannot proceed the construction, right? So they don't require you to pay by instrument. And it's a good thing that I can hold the price for a long time without paying any money. And a lot of people, they choose to go further that way. And in this year, 2022, many developers, many projects, permit issue was solved. And let's talk about the absorption. So as you see, the absorption rate is still quite well. And in 2020 and even 2021, we have much lower supply. But after with a very successful Q4 2021, more developers have more confidence to launch new projects. And in this year, in 2022, everything is quite busy. We have many different options with proper legal permit for the market. And you can see in this chart, the supply to 2025, the grade B still lead the supply. And in a good Q4 2021, all the performance encouraged developer to launch around 20,800 units in the market. And in the last 5 years, the annual launch is about 25,000 units. Average annual sale is over 33 units, and the high absorption of about 85%. So when you want to get update from your agent, and they always say, oh, it's sold out in one morning, you know, it's sold out in the first launch. It's not completely lie, you know, because it's the truth. And even in 2020 and 2021, we have a lot of online sales events, and it's also going very well. It's just that we have less foreign buyer, but we still have very strong domestic buyer. Quite similar like China 20 years ago. Like most of the buyers still are the locals. And next, we move to villa and townhouse. So since I started into real estate 2016, I already learned about the market back then. So let's say District 2, where we're at now. Back then in 2016, the figures show that in 12 years, the land price in District 2 increased already 10 times. Increased already 10 times. You know, as a new buyer, as a new agent, or maybe a new buyer, when you come to a new market, you need to learn how it works and what is the market price, right? But you haven't learned it yet, and it's already increased. And you couldn't keep up with that. And Vietnam market keep surprising the whole, you know, the whole country, and also foreign buyer year after year, because the demand is still very, very the landed property supply. Villa and townhouse in Saigon had 65% decline compared with 2020. Total only around 1,200 units open for sale, and most of the sale is for townhouse. There's a fun fact like this. In 2020 and beginning of 2021, let's say a house worth 800,000. It would be total sale of that project. But by Q4 of 2021, the same house, 800,000, right? It become 90% total sale of the whole project. As you see that within less than a year, the housing price of a similar project jump up quite high. And because with an overload in Ho Chi Minh, and the developer cannot have more land bank to make new projects, so many developers, especially the big developer like Novaland or Vingroup, they expand in the suburban area nearby Saigon, like Bình Dương or Đồng Nai in the east. And you know where's the new international airport of Saigon? Đồng Nai, right? Yeah, and our government very focused and invest a lot of infrastructure in the east side of the city. Like, you know, in the beginning of this year, of last year, the government already merged District 9, District 2, and District Thủ Đức to become a new city. So the demand for land property was high, especially high price stock. So the expensive stock dominate the market. I think that you will be very surprised if you explore more of new villa options in Saigon. We don't have any. We have a project starting price from $10 million for a villa, and the largest unit of that project can be up to $30 million because of rarity, because of brands. And in the beginning of the launch, it was like 1 month ago, I was wondering, like, who would buy this? Where's this price, you know? And there are some buyers. There are some buyers, and the demand is very high. You know what I mean? The demand is very high. So the landed property shortage will continue in Ho Chi Minh City. But the Ho Chi Minh housing plan is still prioritized for high rises. High rise product accounted for over 90% of new supply from 2015 until 2020. And this is a trend that will continue as apartment have 90% of future residential projects supply, while villa townhouse now is less than 10%. So if you plan to put your money in house and villa, it's the time for you to start looking in the suburban of Ho Chi Minh. And from now until 2030, this suburban, like, you know, like Nhà Bè, Bình Chánh, Củ Chi, will be upgraded to an urban area. Yeah, to become a district. Okay. Yeah. And in terms of infrastructure, I think if you come to Vietnam quite often, you will see it's different, it's changing. It could be changing like every month. And the good news is that we're gonna have a new bridge coming on from Thủ Thiêm to Saigon. It's gonna be a new landmark. and we hope that it's gonna keep up with the timeline. But the bad news is we still not sure when the metro line coming. But let's be patient for Vietnam real estate market. So that's the end of the market outlook. And when you look at the supply, you will see, oh, like 100, like 1,000, 20, 30,000 units per year as a supply, right? But how is the demand? Like, we are real estate agent, we sell, right? So we can say it's very positive, too optimistic, right? But when you look at the population of Vietnam, we reached, like with the official figure, we reached to 97 million people. 97 million people. Our population is equal to 1.1% of the whole world population. And Saigon is equal to 1% of Vietnam population. No, 10%. 10%. We have like 10 million people now in Saigon. And every year we have new, around from 800 to 900,000 new baby born. And that, you know, like new people, new human need more new houses, right? So now is a good time to buy, okay? Okay, and as I told you that since during the past 2 years, there are a lot of active online and offline sales events. Like today, at the moment, we have a sales event of a new project in Thủ Đức, the Urban Green. And from this stage now on, up to the coming months, we have more and more sales events every weekend in the market, not just Saigon, but also like in the suburban area. So this is defined in District 2. This launch was in December by Capital Land. The Beverly by Vingroup in January. The Nice Stella in October last year, they was sold out online. And Thảo Điền Green. And this is Lumiere Riverside project in Thảo Điền. This is the second launch last year before the lockdown. And in 2022, we have Empty Smart events, which is last weekend. And thanks God that everyone wear masks. And as you see that the land fever is not just Saigon, but all over Vietnam. And I'm pretty sure that in the future, the price still keep coming up. But our government hears us. There's also some change in bank loan this year. Vietnamese bank urged to tighten lending in real estate with higher interest rate. You know, lockdown over, pandemic is controlled. So the government needs to cool down the real estate market. I think it's not just Saigon, but all over the world, like in China or US or Canada. And it's a must do. So even there are some banks that would run out of, you know, quota for housing loan, and they reject application already. So when our government have official rates, we'll keep you updated. And that's why we have Homebase, right? Okay. So next we will jump to the projects.